Hello everyone and welcome to a little edit with me video. So in this video I'm looking at the preset Moonpack 2. So I already have launched Moonpack 1 and the editorial edit, and Moonpack 2 is my newest to come out. Moonpack 1 is a more stylized preset, but it's very clean with an edge to it. The editorial edit is pretty self-explanatory, and Moonpack 2 is what I would describe as a collision of them both. It's more of an editorial clean vibe, but it's got a little bit of an edge. So I will show you exactly what I mean and how I use it and how it looks on images. I've been using this preset myself for a while now, so I'm really excited to share it with you. So this pack is quite extensive in terms of what I've tried to include to make your life easy when it comes to editing. So it's got a main base, which is pretty self-explanatory, golden hour, night flash, black and white 1 and 2, auto straighten, bright and whites, contrast add, neutral reduce, grain add and remove, greens adjust, highlights reduce, shadow lift, skin saturation down, vignette on and off, AI clean up orange background, AI pop subject. These AIs are new, I haven't used them in my previous presets, so I can't wait to show you those, and some noise reduction. So I will just show you how I use them, how I use those tools, and how the preset looks on some images. So if we just start here by popping the main base on. I'm going to auto straighten it because the horizon is off. So you can already see what a difference that made. It's so clean, it's beautiful. You could potentially bring down the orange if their skin tone's a little bit warm for your liking. You could brighten the whites. I will hover over and just show you what brighten whites does. But other than that, I don't think I would add anything else. Obviously, you could add more contrast, but I think that's too much. Neutral is what we're already on. And reduce. Looks quite nice actually. So all of these tools, it's trying to help you from tweaking, and obviously you will have to tweak. No presets are one click. You will have to tweak certain things yourself. But the point of all these extra tools is to make your tweaks as easy as possible, just one clicking. So yeah, let's leave that one at that. That was an easy edit. So this one here, another one on the beach, but it's got some greens in. So we'll pop the main on. We'll auto straighten it because the horizon's off. I feel like it's a little bit overexposed, so I'm just going to drop it down a little bit. We could brighten the whites. Quite like it with bright and whites. Too much contrast, too little, so I'd stick with neutral. I'm going to leave the grain out. Greens adjust, it will be better if I show you it in another one, but the greens are quite dark naturally, and the greens adjust just lightens them, but I like the greens as they are here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would just leave it like that on this one. If we have a little look at the before and after, it makes such a difference, like, but without making too much difference. Like, I think your work, but I hope that in 10 years time my couples will look back on their images and they will still love them, because the edit is that beautiful, it's timeless, and that is exactly what I'm trying to achieve with this preset. So let's move on. We've got some more browns in here, which is why I chose this one for you. So we'll start again with main base. Would we auto straighten this? Why not? It seemed to work. Again, I don't know if I darken it down a little bit. Do I like their skin tones? I like their skin tones. I mean, if that's too warm for you, you could drop the skin tones down a little bit to be like that. Bright and whites. I think it's personal preference whether you want to add that in there. Again, I'm just gonna keep the contrast at neutral. I like the shadows down. I like the highlights as they are. Vignette, I would leave it off. And that is it really. I would main base and auto straighten is all I've done there. Nothing else I think needs to be clicked at the moment. So as you can see, it's just natural, but it's making the image look so much better. Let's keep going so I can keep showing you. So this is a good one because it's a cloudy day, it was winter, There's grass, there's whites, there's blues, lots of stuff to show you. So let's start with our main base. I mean, why not? I always, it's habit. I go main base, I go auto straighten, and auto straighten doesn't always work. Sometimes it makes the image wonky, but I always hover over it just to see if it works, which I think it does. I actually would probably crop this image down a little bit. So this is a little bit too warm for me. Their skin is quite warm, so I would drop that down. I don't think I would adjust the pinks. I quite like them at 10. So in this image, you can see the colour of the greens. It's a nice green. It's a strong green. It's not too bright. It's not too saturated. It's just in the middle where I love. But sometimes these greens can just feel a little bit dark, so that's why I have the green adjust. So you can see it's the same colour green, but it's just lifting it a little bit. And I actually quite like it lifted because it's a winter's day. I feel like it's quite dark. And I feel like that's helping. So bright and whites. I quite like it without. Again, personal preference. Contrast. I actually quite like reduced on that. I wouldn't lift the shadows. I think I'd keep it like that. Have a little look. So it's beautiful skin tones, beautiful greens, really nice clean whites. Just so easy to use. So another one. I've got a bridal portrait here. It was actually a really cloudy, wet day here. Also, you might notice as you edit along with me that I do tend to underexpose my images by 1 or 2 stops. Because shadows can be lifted and highlights can't be saved, so it's just something that I do when I shoot, is underexposed slightly. So we'll go main base, we'll hover over auto straighten, kind of works. I feel like this image is too warm. I do feel like she's got a lot of shadow on her face here. Shadow lift. That's nice, isn't it? Instantly bring. If I felt like her face was really shadowy, I would go brush. I would just slide a brush over her face and lift the shadows slightly even more. Just could leave that there. Anything else? That's too much. I think I would stick like that. If I was editing this for a wedding, I would elephant? I don't think that's right. I would edit out this telephone wire. And I don't know if you guys have seen this new AI tool. It is insane. So you click here and then you go on your generative AI. You go over whatever it is you want to take out. So for instance, telephone wire. Apply. I think soon we're going to realise how lucky we are with this AI. So then you've got your options to go through. Like, you wouldn't even know, would you? So let's look at that before and after. Gorgeous. I love how clean the whites are. And yet, it's not too different. You know what I mean? It's not... Some presets look very different from the raw, and don't get me wrong, it looks a lot better than the raw. But it's not crazy colours. It's as it should be, I'd like to describe it. So on to the next one. We've got a beach one. We went to go for golden hour, but we were actually just a little bit late. So I think by now it's probably blue hour, but the sky was beautiful. So I probably would go to main base, golden hour. I'm probably going to go with main because it's not golden. Auto straighten, standard. Now this is a good one for me to show you AI pop subject. Are you ready? Just instantly lifts them. I would still brighten it a little. I definitely would warm it up because even though it was blue hour, they're on the beach and I want it to feel like a really warm image. like that. Let's have a little look at the contrast. I like it in neutral. Shadows I think are good as they are. I think I'd leave it at that. Let's have a little look. It looks good. So if I show you what it's like if I get rid of the AI pop, and obviously you can use your exposure to lift the image to get the subject right, but then you lose the background. So the point is you can keep the clouds, you can keep the background, and you can pop the subject without losing what's behind. It's a magic tool. Once you've discovered it, you won't ever want to go back. So next one, we've got this gorgeous bride. I'm actually going to show you how I use my black and white preset on this one. So if we go black and white, auto straighten, straighten it up. Black and white 2 is slightly darker. I would probably use black and white 2 more for a moody style, potentially golden amber. But this very light, clean image is definitely a black and white 1 vibe. So if we just look at before and after with that, it's beautiful. If I reset it and just show you it, it's very warm. She's got very warm skin tones, so it is a warm one. I would probably drop her skin saturation. I would definitely drop the oranges down. It's all about getting that skin tone how you want it. She'd had a spray tan and you can tell she's on the slight warmer side, I think. It really depends. I feel like I've made that too pink. Look how clean the room and the whites are and everything now. So we look at before and after. Doesn't look good. It's so clean. Look how yellow and bleh, the walls are there. Didn't mean to do that. If I was to deliver this, I would AI out these lights on the roof. I don't like them there. So carrying on, we've just got a vow picture here, just a little flat lay. So we'll go over main base, auto straighten. I probably should turn the image, but photo. Oh, is it rotate left or rotate right? Because I always end up going the long way. Left. Yes. How many times have you gone the wrong way and ended up having to do full circle? So I would probably crop that down a little because I've got lots of extra space. Probably about there. So that was just main base. So if we brighten whites, quite like it. I would personally, it's not on here, but personally, I would probably drop the shadows down to bring a little bit of a moody vibe in there. There's nothing else I think I need to use there. It's just a little before and after. It looks good. If you felt like that was a bit too warm, you could cool it down a little. Go back. That's a bit too cool for me. But yeah, that's it. So this one is a really good one to show you because of all the greens, and it's exactly why I put it in here. So, main base. No, that's golden hour. Main base. This is an example of where auto straighten does not work because it is reading the lines on the chair. Not working. It's not straight, so I would feel like I'd want to prop it a bit like that. I feel like that's a little bit bright. I would drop it down a little bit. It's also a little bit warm, so I would drop the temp down. So let me show you the greens adjust here. You can see the greens, again, as I said, not too bright, not too desaturated, right in the middle. So if I go over the greens adjust, it lifts them. Now in this, I like the strong greens, but you might prefer the light greens. There's some images, I should have put it in here, but I shot a couple and they were like walking across grass through a bush and it was all green, and the green adjust worked wonders on it because it was so green. But in this I would stick with main. Again, pretty happy with the contrast. I'll probably leave it at that, I think. It looks good. It looks so nice. And we'll keep going. Another great one to show you. Outside, lots of green, people. We'll start with our main. We'll hover over auto straighten. Do you like that? I mean, I'm going to rock and roll with it. I'd have to crop the people to be right in the middle because it would bother me otherwise. I potentially want to go shadow lift. What do you think? Even if I went shadow lift and dropped a tiny bit to there maybe. Bright and whites. I like it without. Natural vision it off. On. Now I'm leaving it off. That's it really. I think I would just leave it there. Again, do you see how easy this preset is to use? I went main base. I auto straightened. I added some shadow lift. Done. And that is the point in this big toolkit is I don't want you to just have some random presets, all different presets, all of these tied together. So when you're editing a wedding, it's going to just be so quick, so smooth, so easy. And once you get to know the presets, you've used them a few times, you're going to be editing so quick. So we've got a bridal portrait here. It was actually taken inside a bridal shop and the light actually wasn't great. We were by a window at this point. It was quite warm in there. So if I go on main, it's exactly what I knew was going to happen because it was so warm in there. But this just needs a temp drop. I know that looks bad when you first click on it. But as I said, no preset is one click. It just needs a temp drop. Potentially a shadow lift. Definitely. Do you want a bit more pink in her skin? Ooh, too much. Maybe I want to brighten it a little. I don't think bright and whites is going to work. I think it's going to be too much. I'm going to leave it without, but I also do like it with. If I was going to edit this to deliver, I would actually be brushing over her skin and doing a bit of skin retouch up for this shoot. But for now, just to show you how I use the preset. So I'll probably leave it like this and then I'll do some skin retouch ups. So we have a look here. So I know it looks really scary when I first clicked that main base over it, but as soon as we'd just done some temp checks, it was beautiful. And one of the things is I think so many people think when you buy a preset it's just going to be one click. No preset is ever one click, and I've tried to make this pack as simple as a one click pack as possible, or potentially a 4-click pack depending on how many of these you use. But no preset is ever one click. Even when you look at, you're on Instagram, you see other people's images, they have tweaked every single image. But the point of a preset is it's your starting point, is where you work from. It gives you your vibe, your style. It makes your images look like what you're wanting to achieve. Right, that's my little rant over. So, golden hour. Auto straighten. I'll throw it off. That has overexposed it, so I'm going to darken it down. I personally would probably warm that up a little because I like some warmth in my golden hour. I mean, you might want to keep it on the cooler end, but I like some warmth. It also might add a little bit more pink. In golden hour, pinks, I feel like help it pop. So if we go down, she looks very flat, whereas I think sun automatically brings this pink and warmth. We could add some contrast. Neutral. I actually would add it. I like that. Vision it off. On. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's have a little look. Beautiful. Looks So clean. The colours, like when you look at this image, it's so flat, and then this just brings it to life. So, carrying on, because I realise I am rambling. It's been 20 minutes. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's keep going. Another one. So, main base. Work straight in. This was golden hour time, but obviously they're sat. You could, if you think their skin's a little warm, you could bring it down. I quite like that little bit of warmth. You could brighten the whites. I feel like it blows out her dress a little bit, brightening the whites on this one, so I'll be leaving that off. Shadow lift, that actually looks quite nice. It brings the plants back. Greens adjust. It doesn't really make all that much difference. Pops the greens a little bit. So there's a little before and after. Again, so quick. Want to roll now. So we've got an indoor shot here. Again, it was quite dark, but I had her slightly by the window. It was quite warm. She has got a beautiful skin tone, but I feel like when I put my main base on it, it's going to be warm as expected. So again, we just need a little temp drop. Do you know what was hard about this is it was a low window that came like down below here. It wasn't like a long window, so her face is darker than her chest. So if I was going to actually fully edit this like I would a wedding, I would make sure I got the skin tone right. I would probably, because her chest is the bright area, expose just for the chest area for a minute. And I will show you. Brighten whites, can do. Reduce, quite like contrast reduce on that one. So what I would probably do on this, because of just the way the light was and how it's fallen, and I don't want to blow her chest out, is I would go on my brush tool. I would brush over her face. Potentially this arm that's in the darker corner. I would lift the exposure a tiny bit. I'd lift the shadows a tiny bit. Before and after. I think I'm happy with that. I mean, you might potentially think that her skin is too warm. You could take her down. No, that's too cold. That's just too cold. I'm liking how that's sitting. I am. She's beautiful, isn't she? Such a stunning, stunning bride. She was so easy to photograph all day. This is her again. Again, it was golden hour, but it was behind the trees here. But I do think golden hour might work on this one. So we go on main base. It's very cold. We go on golden hour. Just gives it that little pop. So I'd probably go with golden hour. I feel like I actually want to bring the exposure down a little bit. I want to bring that kind of golden hour moody vibe in. I think her skin might be a little pink for me, so I'm going to drop it down and then I'm going to warm it up a little. I could brighten some whites, which I actually like that there. Could add contrast. I'm going to stick with neutral. Happy with the greens as they are. I don't want to lift the shadows or anything. Don't need my AI tools at all here, so probably leave it like that again. Sometimes I just feel like I need to show you more things because I'm editing them that quick because it's that good that I just can't. I can't edit them slower. Let's keep going. So it's the flash one. So we are going to go on night flash. Hover over auto straighten. This was actually in like a orangey marquee. It was tricky. So again, I'm just going to bring my temp down to try and get her skin how I like it. I quite like that. Would I want to change the contrast? I do think with flash you need some contrast, so I wouldn't be reducing. I might lift the shadows a tiny bit on this. And then I think I'd crop down a little bit to lose some of that up there. Before and after. I'm happy with that. Her skin looks nice. The preset's given that like editorial flash look with the bright and cleanness of the whites. And it doesn't look as warm anymore, so yeah, happy there. So this was actually again at blue hour. The sun had nearly gone down. So we'll go main. You can see it's quite dark. Auto straighten does not work. We're just going to lift the exposure a little bit. I would 100% crop this in a bit. I could adjust the greens, brightens them up behind. I quite like them as they are. I might actually reduce the contrast. Quite happy with their skin tone at the moment, and I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. So if we just look at before and after there. So what was that? That was main base, contrast reduce, and an exposure lift. So this one I added in because you can see it was tricky. It was actually really dark. All there was light from a door, which is exactly what I wanted to include it in. So main base, auto straighten, potentially. Or you could potentially just give it a little twist. So this is why I have this new tool here called Clean Up Orange Background. So when you would use Clean Up Orange Background is, you know when you're shooting bridal prep and you're in a room and they've got all the orange lights on and it's awful. Or when you're in a teepee and it's very orange. So what you need to do is you always want to edit it for the person's skin tone in the image. So if you're in bridal prep and she was having her makeup done, or it was a moment, whatever it was, you pop your main base on, you add whatever else you think you might need, bright and whites potentially, shadow lift, no. So then you're going to want to just get the skin tones the colour you would want. So I still want this to be on the warmer side, but just not orange, too orange. See, and then what you do, once you've got your subject with their skin tone correctly, you go over AI Clean Up Orange Background and it's going to automatically reduce the background. So with sometimes when you use skin saturation down, that works too, but this AI orange background works amazing just when you're indoors with that awful light, or in a teepee with that awful light, and you expose the person's skin beautifully in the front, but the background is so warm and orange from all the lights and everything else going on behind. You just want to literally add that on and it cleans it right up. So we go on. I actually feel like this is a bit cool for me. I would personally probably warm that up a little. Just my style. So before and after. Looks good. We're so nearly there. So let's go on. Continue on our way. We have main base, auto straighten. I would have to crop it in a bit. Now again, there's another bride that had a spray tan, that pesky spray tan. I would bring down the temp, sorry. Just to say, I am recording this at like 11:15 at night. So I'm so sorry if I keep messing up my words right now. So I'll bring down the temp. Just get her skin tone right. I don't want her too cold. I mean, she's obviously had a spray tan because she wants to be brown. But I don't want her to be orange either. Sometimes if you've got a really crazy spray tan, that's when skin saturation down works. If I zoom in on her, hover over skin saturation down. I actually quite like it on the warmer side, to be honest. Bright and whites, I prefer it without. This was actually at like 12 o'clock, noon. So I feel like the bright and whites brings it a bit too much for me. Could I use my arrow pop subject? Doesn't need it. Probably leave it at that. Could I go on Greens Adjust? Quite like it as it is. There you go. We've got another golden hour one, so we are going to go golden hour. Auto straighten does not work on that one. So in that case, I'll just straighten it a little bit to be in there. I want to get them more in the centre, but I also don't want to cut out the end of her dress. Because it's golden hour, I definitely want to warm it a little. And then this is where I would be good for my AI pop subject. Also, the sun was beautiful, but I feel like I need a little bit more contrast in it. I actually think I'd still keep warming that up. Bring that really nice warm tones. There we go. It's that easy. Last but not least, and I added this one in because it was golden hour again, but direct light. Very warm. I wouldn't put golden hour on this because it's going to be too warm because it's got direct light. So main base. Crop in. Obviously the temp needs to come down because I still want it to be warm because it was golden hour and she had the direct light on her, but I don't want it to be so warm that she looks orange. Would I want a shadow lift? I actually think I would. Contrast reduce looks really nice. Greens, could lift them. Let's have a little look. That was my last image. I really hope that my ramblings have shown you how amazing Moonpack 2 is, just how easy it is to use, how I've just made it to suit your needs. And the reason it's got all these things in is because I'm a wedding photographer. I edit weddings constantly and I know exactly what things that I'm tweaking and adjusting and needing to do to images. So instead of you having to do all the tweaks, I've just made them for you. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, guys. And I will see you soon for my next video, I'm sure.